I got into it from doing improv in Jacksonville, because some of the improvisers that I'm in the troupe with do comedy as well. I'd done some acting and stuff and some improvised stuff, but I'd never done stand-up comedy. And then we started doing it at Rain Dogs on Monday nights that Chris Buck hosts. The first time I ever did it was a Wednesday night mic we used to have at a place called North Star, the Pizza Bar, which is the worst place to do comedy. It was like 5 people in there that all went to eat pizza and drink beer, and none of them were there to see the show. So tends to kind of give you a good idea of whether or not you're going to keep doing it. One of the first things I heard that was exclusively comedy, one of the first 2 things I heard was Eddie Murphy, Raw, I believe, the one with the ice cream man. I think it's Raw. And then one of the earliest ones I remember is Pablo Francisco had a Comedy Central special where he does the movie phone guy, and that shit used to make me laugh my ass off back in the day. So those are probably one of the first 2 that I saw. Other than that, I don't know exactly in particular. I mean, I like certain comics, but I don't know exactly particular works, maybe, you know what I mean? I think it would be cool to go on tour with somebody like Richard Pryor, somebody like Andrew Dice Clay. I think would be cool to go on tour with. Jeez, I don't know why this comes up in my mind right now, but Red Fox would be an awesome person to go on tour with, because he is so much different than what I do. And like I've listened to Red Fox for a little while, and it's like Red Fox has jokes that he tells that are like street jokes. Like, and you don't know that those street jokes might have actually came from him instead of vice versa. Like, a lot of times you see comedians go up on stage and they'll tell you a joke like, you know, why did so-and-so do this, or blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, oh, well, you know, you're like 2 people and blah, blah, blah walk into this. And you're like, oh, okay. But when he did, it's like, I think he's the one who kind of did that. You know what I mean? I like that. I like cornerstones, I like icons as far as influences, the people that can kind of influence mass ranges of people without knowing that that's exactly what they're doing, because they're just doing whatever it is that their voice is. You know what I mean? They're expressing themselves, but they don't know exactly who they affect, which is what art does, which is what I think comedy at its maybe like most mild form, at least if you're doing comedy right, hopefully you're touching or influencing people in some way, you know? Hannibal Buress would probably be cool. I would do Jeff Ross, hands down. I would do Jeff Ross. I don't know about comedian. It'd be funny to see Snoop Dogg just roast me, because I don't know how closely related we would be. Eddie Murphy's still alive. That would be awesome. One more good one. I don't know. Maybe. Louis C.K. maybe. That'd be fun to see him go out of his element, maybe. For sketch shows, I always loved Reno 911. It's always been one of my favorite sketch shows. Kids in the Hall was something I remember watching when I was young. Films, honestly, it just kind of depends. Blues Brothers was always a big I don't want to say influence. It was a movie that I watched that definitely inspired me in different ways, because it was funny. It had a lot of depth to it. You know what I mean? It was funny. It's got music to it. I love music. You know what I mean? I love that kind of music. Not necessarily just in particular blues, but any expressive kind of music where it's obvious that what they're saying they mean. You know what I mean? That always kind of was held high as far as in my regard for things, whether or not there's some truth or honesty behind what it is you're doing, which I think kind of affects the way that I'd like to be on stage. I hope that when you see me when I'm on stage and I do what I'm doing on stage, you can kind of get the vibe that I'm not being fake, you know what I mean, and none of it's really fabricated in any way, you know what I mean, it's all an inherent part of me. If it's not all of me per se, at least it's a fraction or a portion of me that I want to show on any given night, which I think is what comedy kind of is. It's like pieces of you or whole parts of you that you want to reveal to people that you don't have another capacity in which to do it, you know what I mean? We're getting into doing different things. I'd like to start doing sketch stuff. Like I said, I'm already doing the improvised things. I'd like to start writing a little bit more as far as things that aren't on the stage. Because most of the stuff that I do when I'm on stage isn't necessarily written in the way that you would expect. I mean, sometimes I have an idea of what I'm going to do, but I'm not 100% sure until I get up on stage. But I mean, I'd love to do a movie, a comedy movie, and things like that. Stand-up specials. I want to be able to go on, late night and do stuff like that. So, just kind of working right now. I'm putting work into it. I'd love to see some sort of fruition. I'd like to not have to work in the general sense of the word. I'd like to be able to do this and get paid for it. I hope that would happen sooner. Maybe within the next 2 years, maybe within the next 3 years, I can start getting exclusively paid for this and not have to live out of a fucking car the way most comedians do. I'm serving tables right now, so it would be really cool to not have to do that. Still be able to keep, which is wishful thinking, but still be able to have a certain standard of living, like eating what I want, and maybe what I want every now and then. But ultimately, I want to be like known for what I do, and hopefully one of the best at what it is exclusively that I do. If not one of the best comedians, at least in a conversation that you have to talk about me. You know what I mean? And not necessarily in a vain way, because I want to be able to influence people more than I do anything else. Because I think comedy is one of those things where when you're a comedian, a lot of times you can get pigeonholed by your scene, by the type of stuff you'd like to do or you think you should do. When you're first starting out, people always tell you, joke writer comedians tell you need a type 5. You know what I mean? They tell you that you need to have a specific amount of jokes and that it's got to be honed so that when you go to a club, you can do a guaranteed thing. One-line writers will tell you that you need to write more one-liners because they're easier when stuff starts to go south to just be like, here's a one-liner, because that's true. One-liners get people off kilter. They actually end up working in certain ways, but not everybody's like that. Storyteller comedians tell you that you got to write intricate, detailed stories that intertwine and are interwoven in some specific way. When the reality is that whatever you feel when you're on stage and when you get off stage, whatever you feel like you want to do is what you should pursue. There's no real box that you live in. You know what I mean? There's no real structure to it besides whatever you make it. You know what I mean? And I would like to hope that at least ultimately what I do on stage shows people that you can do whatever it is you want when you're on stage. I'd like, kind of similar to how I said about other comedians, I'd like for people on stage to be able to look at what I did and be able to take away with them that anything on stage can be done and it still be funny and it still be considered comedy, even if it's not set up punchline or even if it's not jokes in the way that you would expect. I am at Patrick B. Dalton on Facebook, or / Patrick B. Dalton on Facebook. On Twitter, I am at No Cook, at I'm No Cook. I don't really go on Twitter that much. I should probably not reveal that during the interview. At I'm No Cook. And other than that, I host a comedy show every Wednesday at the Wine Bar, Jacksonville Beach, Comedy Uncorked. If you're listening to this and you can be there, be there. It's every Wednesday between 7:30 and 8 we start. That is at Comedy Uncorked Jacks, or / Comedy Uncorked Jacks on Facebook. Figure us out. Give us a couple likes. It always helps. I sincerely appreciate it. How y'all doing? I'm Patrick Dalton, the Patrick Dalton. You can check me out on acutiepie.com. Peep the interview.